Hello? You can hear me? Yeah, I think so. I guess we can download it on Twitch and add recording later. Right, I'll just start. I'll try to follow the chat. So I'll be streaming Ocean Code on CodinGame. It's a game made by me and Illedan and G-Rom from CodinGame staff. Just so I can run a game. So for you, those of you that don't know, the game is about navigating submarines. Navigating submarines around in the water, trying not to uh, go over the path you've already traveled, or you can use torpedoes to try and damage your opponent. And it's about surviving the longest time or have the most health at the end of the game. So I'll try to get to silver. Hopefully I can do that. No promises. So I'll be coding in C#. See, last time I streamed I made a code copier that will merge C# files and into an output file, and I'll use the CG sync to upload it from that one. So you can find it on my GitHub. Okay. So we can start on the C. So we'll start on reading the inputs. First off, in the first section, we're going to read the map and our player ID and width and height, but those will always be 15. We'll never change that without breaking the rest of the game. So the first files to read are these. Just grab it here. I'll create a function to read so we can get the output. So to save these, I'll use a static class just to save the instances, as we'll never change these values. We'll only keep them as reference while we walk around. You want bigger font? Okay, I can do that. Is this good enough? And I don't think you need higher performance actually. Most players use reactive bots. So we'll create a map. Let's create a models folder to structure it a little bit. And I don't need NuGet. See. So let's use the map class. This map class will consist of cells. There will be each position, which will have a corresponding x and y position coordinate and a system on the map, and all of these. So we'll have a two-dimensional array of cells. It's going to consist of the board, and it'll always be 15, so we'll just set it up like this. So in input, when we read, we'll loop through the line we get in. And let me see, I remember what is island and what is land again. So X is an island and dot is an empty cell. So we'll only be interested in the empty cells. So we'll look at the equals dot, which means we can set the map dot cells. Okay. And it'll be X and Y equals to new cell. So I'll add a constructor. And will be X and Y. Okay, and so we read the inputs. Now we want to read the rest of the inputs that we get every round. But we're not going to read it as a void. We're reading it as, I'll create a game model. For the merging into a single file, I created a file merger. Let me just share it. So you can use that to merge C# files. I'll add the description afterwards. So it'll be merged into this output folder with a timestamp on top for convenience. And you can see all the files I've created, which is quite handy for C#. So what's part of a game? At least there's 2 players in the game. So we need a player class. Not sure if we need a player ID, but we can keep it anyway. A player also has different properties. So we have something called health. And we will have a path that we walked, or we will have charges of our different spells, so these cooldowns. I guess it's nice to save them. So I'll just grab these. Okay, so we'll read those, and the game itself will have 2 players. And I think for convenience, we'll just add an opponent while we're at it, so that each player can reference the enemy counterpart. Okay, 0, 0, yeah. Right, so now we can go back and read it in our input. So instead of the void, we'll return the actual game. And we can go grab the input. So we're done with this one. Now we need to read all these guys. And just do this. So, and we see the first part is the X, so now we can use what we made for the cell. So we'll add the cell to a player, which is where he is. Of course, we won't know where our enemy is just yet, but we can still create a cell for us. So in the map, we'll just create an overload for right. So the game players 0 is us. Cell will be map.getCell x and y. I won't bother removing the properties thing, just be there. Health is equal to my life. And the enemy life. And now it's all the cooldowns. Right, then we have something called sonar result, and then we have the opponent's orders. So sonar is not for this league, so I'll just leave it for now, but the opponent's orders we kind of need. I didn't get your comment. I could do it earlier, I mean. So I will just add a command output. So we'll have new opponent output. Alright. And we can return the game. So back to our initial here. We can do the IO dot initialize. Now the first thing we have to do is pick location, but I'll just fix the other one first. Right. So to select location, I'll just create a service for it to keep it one place. So now we need a random thing. Just create a constant class which keeps a random instance. Yeah, let's keep it seeded. So I'll just pick a random position. I think it's better to just pick a random in center because sometimes there'll be, yeah, it will be available later. Should be, at least for a couple of weeks, unless the CodinGame decides to download it and upload it again. So while it's null, we'll pick a new one, then return it. And should be enough. I've never seen a map where the whole center is filled. In that case, we'll crash, and it should be enough to do it. So first thing, we'll get a create a, there's many places where we need the toString. Right, and read, and we'll go north. So as I've done that, I should be able to spawn somewhere on the map without dying, I think, I hope. Yeah, so we spawned inside here and we didn't spawn and we moved north. So that's fine. So now is the part where we have to move this thing around, because we're gonna need to move in the different directions of the northeast, south, and west. So we'll create a new type for it, like the direction, which will have delta x and delta y variables. And we'll have a string name. That's going to be the direction we want to move in. And we'll just create a static array of directions because we're going to need this a lot of times. So we go -1, 0, that's to the left, that's to west. So we go east, negative is north, oops, north, and it's south. So we go downwards. So we could check everything, but I prefer to just cache it up front. So when we created these, we can simply initialize the whole map. So after the first initialize, we can do map.initialize, and we'll add the neighbors. So for every valid cell, we'll set it up. So then we'll look in every direction. And pick all the valid position. So to do this, we'll create neighbors on each cell, which will have a list of cells as neighbors. But I think we can do it even better if we do a dictionary where we can do a direction, because then we can use this to set what direction we're using and use it while we're checking where to go and in later cases. And we need to check if the position is valid somehow. So a position is valid if it's on the map. And if the cell has a value. So now look in every direction, and if it is valid, we know that we can add it as a neighbor. So we'll do the direction and get cell for the x and y. So now we have a neighbor dictionary where we can see what direction we can move in. So what we need now is to see where we have been earlier. So to do that, we kind of need to save a path on the player. And the simplest way is just use a hash set. You could of the cells. You could of course use a Boolean array to see where you have been and such, but hash set is far faster to code, I think. So we'll have the path on each player. So what we need to remember now is to update this relative to what we did and continue to use it, because now we're creating a new instance of the game every time. So to just bring the last game in here. So when I set this, I can simply set players, because that's the first one we have used, the starting position. And we can use the last game, and after any printing, we'll just set it again. So I'm going to use this to continue to update our path. So if we look in games, we see that path will be equal to the previous one. So just set the previous one, and then we'll just add the current location. Later on, we can move in multiple positions, so we'll have to update those accordingly. So I guess we can update it before we get to this point. All right. So now we can create some sort of agent that's going to try to make sense of all this data. So instead of doing this, we'll create an agent. This is development for CodinGame. Web page to play bot matches versus each other or other puzzle games. And this is an ongoing contest that I'm coding on. Oops. Thanks. Oh yeah, I forgot to update the text again. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, Thibaut told me how to do it one time, but I don't remember. Maybe it's an easy setting. I don't know. I guess we can manage without. Yeah, same happened last stream. My bad. So now we'll find just any action, and if there's no action that's valid, we'll surface So it means we'll always pick one direction and prioritize it. And it'll be in the order of these guys. So we'll pick first west, then east, then north and south. Should be fine enough. I guess we'll get stuck in a corner, but that's fine. So what we can do now is save an instance of myself. Okay. Is that thing called player? Oh. Let's do it this way. Hope that works. Now we can loop to the neighbor. In neighbors, let's see, dot cell. Neighbors, this guy. And we can check if any of these are used. So if player1 dot path contains the cell, I'll continue. Let's see dot value. I shared it earlier on the chat. The CG is sharp merger. I'll share it again. So now we have a valid way of walking. So for convenience, we'll just try to return it just for fun. Name.key as this direction.name, and will not charge any powers yet. And if there's no such way, we'll say .path.clear, and we'll add ourselves later, and we'll just return surface. That means we'll move anywhere, and if nowhere to go, we'll surface. Hopefully. See how it works out. So we're lasting longer at least. So we're moving first this way, so back and forth, and we're putting ourselves in corner at once. That's great. And the boss is trying to shoot us like crazy. And we're stuck every time. It's not Python, it's C#. Yeah, I should try to fix that. I don't know how to change it. Sorry. So our main problem now is that we get stuck a whole lot of times. So we're even, yeah, we only were stuck once. So that's because we can't see these kind of things. So I guess we can code that already. So what we want to do is to check it, find the biggest area where we can go to. There's an algorithm called float fill that lets you check these kind of things. So what we'll return is basically what's the area that we can see are. How many places can we visit? So what we'll get in is the path, because we can't cross it, and already in the map we have only neighbors that we are able to see, and to check it we'll have cell of used. So because to check a path we'll need to check a few cells, I think, maybe not. Instead we'll do current cell, because we're going to start the search somewhere, right? So to do this, we kind of need to mark where we plan to go, check if what the area will be, and pick the biggest one. So let's look on a bigger screen. So my plan is to see, in this case, you should see that going to this location gives me one free tile, and going to this location gives me a whole lot more. So that's the basic idea. So I don't need so I'll keep a hash set of every cell that's seen, and I'll add myself to the scene. Current. Oh. And we'll have so I'll use a breadth first search to just look at it. So, and the viewport will have, I think I need all these. Can't think clearly right now. Okay, can't I do this? Okay, so now we have next cell is the, yeah, we'll just grab the viewport first, whatever that is, and we'll remove it from the viewport. So for each of his neighbors, we're going to check if the path consists of them, or they have been seen. So I think the easiest way is just to clone this guy. No, I don't think I need to. Could clone it and add it here, but this I can just check for next. So if path contains cell or scene contains cell, I will continue. So on an hash set instead you can do an add and check if it's not added. And what I'll do later is add it to the viewport, because then it's up for checking if you're further on. And it's already been added to the scene part. So when this is going, and it should be able to finish, we'll have all the scene cells will be whatever we can see, I think. We'll see. So if we go back to our agent, so now we know that we can go this square, and we can check the size of it. And that's the flood fill. So the current cell will be the one we're going to. So it will be the neighbor.value, and the path will be my player's value path. So we'll have a cell, and we want to keep the biggest one, right? So if the size is bigger than the best score, we'll set the best score equals to size, and we'll move this guy best action equal to that. So instead of surface down here, and I'll also to debug it a little bit, I'll print this thing. So the size, just to see what we get. And if the best action is not null anymore, you don't need to remove namespaces, by the way. So if you've ever found a best action, we'll find it. So let's see if that works. Just keep a seed for easier checking. Hopefully it should be a longer game and I win. Nice. So let's see what we're doing. So it's moving back and forth, back and forth. Now here we can see the choice making. So 13.1 and 13.3, that's 13.1 and that's 13.3. So up here is 36, seems about reasonable. And down here is 132, so it'll go down, which is nice. And any more choices, that's interesting. So here's the next one. So now it's fairly even, but the top one is less, as we see, and it will go down, hopefully, yeah. And it'll go back and forth, no other choices, doesn't crash, so that's nice. Okay, so I'll submit that as it seems good enough. Didn't know I didn't have to move in this league, but that's fine. So it's moving versus moving. And I move worst because I'm blocking off more. Yellow, looked at the wrong color. But yeah, see a situation like these where we just move and block the whole area, everything up here. So we should be able to find those paths. So I'll try to implement that because we always want to keep the biggest area. That's going to bring us much higher, I think. Or maybe it's enough for now. Yeah, we can skip it for now. We can rather go to the opponent detection and starting using the torpedoes. So whenever we're moving, we can charge a power. And let's find what power. So for now, it's only the torpedo. So I'll also create some constants up here. To not mess up. Yeah. And surface. So we get the power. Yeah, I can just do it down here. Alright. So this should be good enough, I guess. Let's see. Else we'll just fire at something and hope we hit him sometimes. Doesn't crash and we charge our torpedo. That's nice. And he wins. I guess it's because he's shooting me. Yeah. So I'm going to try to find the target. So a torpedo is, I don't know, gun or whatever it's called on a submarine that can shoot up to 4 squares away within 4 cells. So it kind of goes around the maps like this. So now we can use what we made in our map and pre-calculate these things. So we have the neighbors. So what we'll do, we'll just create a hash set cells that we can shoot at. So you can only shoot at yourself, of course. And while after we have initialized, we can do set up the torpedo. So as this is 4 ranges deep, we can simply just iterate over it every time and recreate it. 4 times should be enough, right? So that's 1 neighbor, 2 neighbors, 3 neighbors, 4 neighbors. Yeah, it should be fine. So we'll have the cell.torpedo targets equals cell.torpedo targets, and we'll use some link. So we'll select the neighbors, and we'll just do an hash set of these. Should that be enough? What's the problem? Oh, we need to select the value. Right. So now for every neighbor, yeah, so I guess we can also print this thing just to see if it seems right. So on each cell, I will swap these two to get a nicer printing, just to verify that it works. So we'll write the cell torpedo targets that count, and we'll just pad it left to make it look nicer, 3 I guess. And we'll create a new line, oops. In between. And whenever it's null, we'll else. This is going to be null, so I'll just do oh. I can do like this, and then we'll also verify that we see islands correctly. We'll also do this for the neighbors, but it seems to work. So unless it looks bad, we'll keep it. So it seems I won the league. Nice. So yeah, seems fine. So to start, we'll error print. So we'll look here, top here. So that's a nice tester. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have no what? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Okay, so I think we're missing 1 on the torpedo targets. Okay, let's try again. Island seems right at least. Yeah. So now we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? 1, 2. Oh yeah, because we're forgetting to add the ones we already had, so we're overlapping some. So what we need to do is wrap this thing. So we'll grab many dot concatenate with what we already have. There's going to be a lot of duplication, but hashset can fix it. So okay, that didn't work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 5 should be it. Okay, that's kind of weird. look at others just to see. So this is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this should be 7. So it's missing 1 at least. So selecting all the neighbors, we're concatenating what the current targets are. And we're selecting all. Does this make sense? If I try to increase it, does it just stop somewhere? Maybe it didn't update since when I tested. Let's see. So now it's 12, okay. So maybe it was just not updated yet. So I'll wait a little bit and update it. That's the problem with file merges, because if they don't update in time, of course it's better to test all this locally, but okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this should be 7. Okay, that's weird. Let's grab this guy, 14, 12. Okay, is it updated? Yeah, it seems fine. Let's see what this. So we look at this guy in particular. What's the updates he gets? So we have 13, 12. We have 14, 13 and 14, 12. That's the first iteration. Next iteration we still have 14, 12. So what we're missing? So now it says it's 8. So we have 14, 12. Okay, I need to split these better. That looked very horrible. Should be able to jump up. How slow is this? Damn. So we have 14, 12. Yeah. 13, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 14, 13. 13, 13. Yeah. Do you have this guy? 11, 14. So that's 1 too much. Okay, I guess it should be 4 then. It's weird. Looks like it's wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm thinking wrong. Let's check. Nice. Jumped up. So now it's 7. This guy up here is 8. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that seems right. And we have these 7, and it's not having the 11, 14. Okay, that seems so good. So we don't need this anymore. And so now we already tested neighbors too. So now we know where we can shoot. So let's just start shooting, fire at will. So let's create a method for it. So we'll just create a string. So if we don't have cooldown, so it's greater than 0, we'll simply return an empty string. So that we can, on all of these, just add it. But we don't want to add it, we'll add it before, because else we need to update our position too. Of course we can do that. So whenever we move and save something best, we'll simply save it as the value of this guy. So if we go down here, we'll see cell equals best position, so that we can fire from that place instead. And if we go here, it will also mean we get one more torpedo, so that means we can shoot more often. So we'll just add in more, it's one negative. Right, and it seems we ranked up, sweet. So okay, now it means we can shoot, and we'll try to shoot somewhere. So we'll simply find whatever position that can't damage me, which this means we need to have some relation to which cell another cell will damage. So if we go down to cell, we can add an if. So it means if the x is less or equal to 1, and same with the y. So if we close in a 1 of x, so in closer and equal of 1 of I. And I think we'll just add all the damage cells, because then we can look at the target and look at what cells it can damage and check if we are one of them. So we'll pre-compute this too. We can reuse this guy, because we don't need the neighbors anymore, I think. And now I think we need a relation to every cell that exists. I guess we could have used neighbors, but there might be some corners where you can't, so just, oh, oops. So we'll just keep all of them, and in the setup cell down here, we'll just add it. This means that cell 2 damage equals all cells. So we're gonna loop more than we need to, but it's not gonna cost anything. So if the other cell deals damage to this cell, then we'll also include ourselves. Okay. So we're gonna look through all the targets that we can access from our position. And I don't think we need this, we'll just return whatever if we find something. So what is a no-go? That's if the target to damage contains my cell. And if we can find something that's not, we'll hit it, but I'll also order this by some random thing. So we don't always hit the same place, and that's just gonna be bad. So we'll have the const random. So now we need to add the splitter. And we need to add torpedo. And we'll add the space and position of the cell. So it'll be target with toString. Okay, and if not, we'll just return empty. So we did here, and we can also just do it after the surface. Should be fine. Okay, so we seem to rank pretty decent in this league. Let's see what this guy is doing. There's also new commands in this league, so we have to think about those. So it looks like we're firing, which is nice. And now he starts to fire at us. That's not good. But we almost won. So just submit it. Might be better. So what we'll do now is to actually try to target him, or target places where he can be. So we need to start on our opponent tracking. So let's add a service for that. Right, so we'll keep as a class, because in later on you might want to use the opponent tracking to track yourself, to make choices to reduce the possible location you can be. So how will we do this? I guess we'll add it to the player. So what we need now is to update from every time, and we need to have some sort of where the enemy can be. So an opponent tracker will have a so we'll add the tracker to the player we are tracking. So this player will be tracked by this one. That means when we're reading our input, we have to update the opponent tracking is equal to the last game. Okay, and when we're done reading, we'll start the tracker. Now we want to see where it could be to update these possible cells. So what we need as input is his command. This is C#. For now, we'll start with the command. That's the enemy command that will only consist of valid commands for that player. And it will be splitted with this guy, the line. So where did I put this guy? Yeah, I'll move these to here. So all right. So back to this one. So there'll be a surface, move, we'll have silence in this league, and sonar. So you can look at those two skills too before we start. So sonar will tell you if the opponent was in that sector when you use the sonar, not during his turn. And silence is where you can move silently up to 4, from 0 to 4 in any direction. but you can't cross the path you already did take. So that's the new one you have to consider, but sonar is only ourself, so if we don't use sonar, we don't need to handle it. But we need to handle the silence thing. But first off, we'll simply try to track the movement. So if it contains move, it'll have one of the directions, north, east, west, south. So we can go to the direction and create a helper method to get those. So just get the first one that has the proper value. So in a tracker, we'll say dir is equal to direction and split it command 1. We'll not get any more from move. We will not get what power is getting or something. So we can also track his powers. It's going to be 0, and we need to update this in IO. Right, so now you'll have one more power of whatever. Of course, if we don't use it, we can't know, but then it's just bad, so that's fine. So now we know where he is. So the first round, we have to do something. We have to start somewhere, right? So we can't know where he spawned, but what we can know is, let's go to the program. So here we create the first instance of the game. So we'll look at players 1, opponent tracking. This will, in the first round, it will be equal to any cell that exists. And we'll already initialize the map up here, so we can do the map.allCells, which is not public, just yet. Okay, all cells.toHash. So now we created a copy of it to save as possible cells. That will be all the possible cells. So now we'll try to simulate a move from every cell and see if it is actually possible. We'll not keep the path or anything. That's more next level tracking. And so we'll simply check, is it possible from that current position to move in whatever direction? And then you will start to narrow down the possible cells, and suddenly you end up with far fewer cells. Give me a sec, I'll just turn on the light. All right. So now we're going to track the moment. So we'll have a direction, and that's about it. So we have to create a new hash set and look from the previous one and create a new one. So for each post in possible cells. So now we have the direction, and we already have the neighbors as earlier. So if not the position dot neighbors contains direction, we'll continue. And if it does, we means it's a possible next place. So we'll just add it. So we'll say that next post dot neighbors direction. Okay, and we'll set the possible cells. equal to next. Okay. So now we should be able to narrow down the possible location. So I'll just print out what the count of the possible locations are. So to call it possible cells. Right, and I'll need to initialize this track. So we already saved this one, but I guess we don't need it. So the opponent tracking track, and we'll have the opponent orders. Okay, and if the possible cells count less than 5, we'll simply print them just to verify if it seems reasonable. Alright. So move to track player 2, and yeah, it seems fine. Let's see how it goes. So now we lost our connection, so I have to upload again. Right, time is right, and we'll not track the boss because it's using skills that we don't know what is yet. So we'll simply track ourselves, and we're already at 69 with random shooting. That's nice. So keep this map, it seems fine. We'll see if we can track this guy that's just moving around. No, we cannot. So because this string split is not allowed, guess it wants character. I guess there's an extension I didn't get somewhere. Okay. What? Oh, it's null maybe? I'm not sure what we're sending on the first round. Don't remember. Okay, so that worked. I guess it was didn't just update. So what do we get? So we get not available on the first round, and on the second round we get move west. So we have possible 138, 97, 62. Let's go down to where we have less. Now we have 5. Let's stop somewhere. So where is his 5-3? So that's one of the possible. 5-4. It could be in this place. Yeah, because we can move this path. Can we move 2 steps down? So I guess it could be 5-3, 5-4, 5-5, or 4-5 even. Where's 4-5? It's this one. Yeah, because the path can be moved into this little gap. So when it moves one more, it cannot anymore. So it's simply these 3, and once it does one more step, let me see, who's shooting? So now we have one possible position, it's 3-3, and that's, okay. Yeah, now it's 3-3, I guess it was the wrong. Yeah, when he moves to 3-3, we have 3-3 down here. There we go, 2-3. Yeah, it seems right. And now I guess we can, as I'm only moving, we'll only see one the whole game. That's fine. So now we have some idea of where he is, but there's other commands that make you jump around, so that will kind of mess up the whole tracking. So we'll kind of have to handle those two. So there'll be silence and surface. I don't think we need surface even, but we'll do it anyway. So we'll track silence. And yeah. So we didn't have silence yet. Right. Now we did silence, and as we are looping through all the commands from start to end, we know if you did move before silence, we have already updated because of the track movement. So now we can just do like this. So we'll have the next one. So it's no longer for possible cells. Now we need to know if you can move, how many moves in a direction you can move. So let's go to the map again, and now we can update a cell and just say how far you can go in a direction. So we'll have the so now we'll check if you can move in direction. If it's possible to silence 0, so then you'll simply not move. Is equal to this. So if current contain dot neighbors contains key direction. So okay, let's just invert it for readability. We'll continue. And now current is equal to, oh, if it not, oh, we can't continue. No, by the way, we'll return false. Then you can't do that move. So we'll set current is equal to current neighbors there. And return true. We can move it. So now we'll loop through all possible cells. And for each of those cells, we'll do for each of the possible directions. And for each of those directions, we'll do less than 4. But I know the boss is capped to 1, and most players in this league will simply use it instead of move. So we'll just keep less than 2. And so yeah, we might we might end in a buggy state because then we need to restart. So I don't want to handle that quite just yet. So if the position dot if not position dot can move in the direction this number of times will just break, because then you cannot move the further distances. Of course, you don't need to check the I equals 0 many times, but it's not going to cost anything. So if you can move, you need to find that particular target. So we'll just get the cell. So we'll get this. So we'll assume we'll never do move when you haven't checked the can move. So of course I could check it, but I know I'm gonna check it anyway. So our endpoint. So we'll have the move length, and we'll have next add endpoint, and length is I. So now we can do the same. So that's silence. Now I think we can play against the boss, but first I'll try to shoot where he can be. So this is the only action that actually moves a player around. We can use like surface and all the others to narrow it faster down, but I'll just keep these for now. So I want to go shoot at him. So instead of ordering by, and we'll not shoot if we can't damage him. So now we need a player 2. And I'll also just I'll keep the possible location. So if it contains me, and if it not contains me, so now we'll only shoot targets that may contain any of his positions. So damage possible, yeah, sure. So if there's not any to damage in the, yeah, okay. So now if I play against myself, I should crush myself, hopefully, because I'm actually trying to hit myself. Yeah, so now I'm 61, 50. Let's see if I'm actually trying to hit. So there's still, so if I move forward, yeah, because it was possible he was down. So now you see I move forward and then I hit behind me because this contains him, but not me, since I handled the case where I moved. So now and I guess I'll continue to do that. Nice. That should be enough for the next league at least. So we can even try to narrow it more down for the tracking. So I'm not bothered using sonar yet. But we kind of want the torpedo. Because you know when he uses a torpedo, you know that he has to be in those in nearby, right? So we can remove all of those. And later we can also remove if he doesn't lose any health in a round. But if you lose health and there's multiple sources of damage, we kind of need to do a full investigation on how we could have moved to lose that health, so I'll not do that. But you can create some sort of trackers and see what his health is at the end and see if it actually works to do that series of commands. So now we know that the two next parameters will be the x and y. So we'll just parse them. All right. So we can need these two again. So instead we can just do a link. So where, see, what? Can't I do a link here? I didn't add it. Okay. Let's see how this goes, by the way. Is this worse? Damn. Okay, I guess we gotta fix the tracking. And yeah, we use all, so if there's anyone using silence, they'll get it that way. So I guess we can add the silence thing too. Because shooting torpedoes is very revealing. So you might want to have the silence ready. So now we'll only keep the possible cells where torpedo targets contains the cell, because the target is where we could shoot at. And yeah. So there's that. And yeah, is there anything else we can do right now? There's no mines to think about. We can track the explosions, of course. But yeah, we need the surface. So what we'll get on the surface is the location or the sector is in. So yeah, can I steal this one? Alright. So now we'll remove all that's not in that sector. So I'll just go to referee and pick the sector code. Let's see. Okay. And refactor it to, oops. Alright. So we'll have this one. Oh, that's the wrong place for this guy. Let's put it on the map in each cell. We'll know which sector. So, okay, don't need this. Floor. Okay, that's fine. So now we'll do, yeah, I can remove this. Put it here. Same for this. Now just will remove. No, he has to be in that sector. So where c dot sector equals the sector, that'll be his position. And this was enough for first. That's nice. All right. So what else can we track? Yeah, let's look at the damage a little bit. So if we know we did a surface, we can simply remove 1 damage. So now we kind of need to know what the player we're looking at. And we'll also, before I forget it, we'll initialize, because the health of a player will always start at 6. So we'll just set it so we know how the difference in the first round, if that's needed. No, it's not. Yeah, we can set it anyway. So we'll have the player and we'll have the now we'll have the previous game player and the current player. So when we go to the IO, so we could have just sent it into the opponent tracking, but and this will be the last game players one. Right. So what we're looking now is health. Last turn, health minus player health. So it'll be a health difference. If you know there's been a surface, we already learned what we can do about surface. So we'll just check if this command contains surface and reduce this by 1. So it contains so now we can start to track damage. And we know if it was damaged by checking if the health is less than is greater than 0. And this way we can remove accordingly. Of course, if it was only one source of damage, we know that it will be in the center and the outer part. So let's see. I think I ranked up. fine. We're winning some in the bottom of this league. So now we have to beat a new boss. I don't know what he's doing yet, but we'll figure out. So next step is to track damage. So we'll have a damage location, which is the X and Y. And if it was damaged. So if it was damaged, will look like in the track torpedo, but instead of torpedo targets, yeah, but we can't know if it was this one, because we can't know how many sources of damage it was, so we can't do it directly. But we can check if it is only one. Because we don't want to remove, we want to know where we were. If we remove too many and then suddenly later we have no possible left, we're gonna have a problem. So I guess I'll only check if there's only one source of damage. So this means I also need my own command. Other command. It's gonna be the other player. Now I need to get track of. I need to keep track of my last command, so that I can use my own actions to track him. So in the program, I can need to save this one, I think. Yeah. This, and while reading we'll get this. So we'll send it all the way. First round we get nothing. So I guess we can find all. Nah, we can not easily without refactoring everything. We can't, because his damage sources might be when before or after he has moved. Because if everything was after before his move, we can connect it to our own damage and just pick everything that might fit. But he might have damaged himself later or afterwards and not at all. So we kind of need to think about that. I will assume there's only one source of damage, but we'll have to check if it is. If not, we have to we can't learn anything except if we start a full investigation, but it should be enough to not investigate everything in this league. So we're kind of low, but I think we're losing some because I know they're using silence or something. So did they silence in a way? No, we only scaled torpedo. Oh, that's the wrong view. You see this one. So he's using silence, yeah. That means it's much harder for us to track. So I think we should print our how many possible we have while we're at it. So we'll just print the count to have this for convenience. Alright, so we'll have my actions. So now we know we removed the surface, so now we have torpedo and trigger. So my actions can contain a move with this power of torpedo, so we kind of need to remove that one. So I'll just and we need to or. So we need to add a trigger. Right, so we start with any of those. So same for him. Says and return is equal to 1. So if there's only one of any of these, we can know if it was a part of it or not a part of it. So it means if it's a torpedo, and we'll have and we'll also print this thing. What do I call it? This one. So we'll have the command and other command, should be my command. And we'll have this is this command, and we'll have it will also be arrow print, but yeah, we arrow printed earlier. So yeah, let's move this thing down here. Okay, let's see. I can play first the boss, that's fine, I guess. So yeah, I forgot to fix the compile error. Alright. And this just looks updated, is it? Okay. So I don't think we're not printing my own his commands fully yet. So we'll go here and remove the console, so we use the other one. And we'll save this. So what's the problem here? Because we're using 0 and 1, we should have used 1 and 2. So my bad. Let's see. 2. Alright. So yeah, I guess we have to run a new game to see. Because we get source of damage is 1. And when we use torpedo, next round, so the round before is 0. Yeah, that's a longer game. Let's see if there happens 2 torpedoes at once sometime. I guess we're both firing. So now it's 2 sources. This way we can't learn anything yet. Because I'm firing down here and hits him, and he's firing there. Yeah, seems fine. Now we see our possible locations. So early on we have 169. And now it's 1. So now let's see what's the problem. Yeah, because when it's 1, our code is simply checking if it can hit him, but it's far better to hit him straight on, right? So at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, I could just hit him straight on. So we should give that some better, and we should start tracking these damage sources. So in the agent, look at the firing. Now we'll keep track of the best one. So now we'll keep track of how many we can target. Because now we're ordering by random, which we don't need anymore if we start removing stuff. So now it'll be this one, but it'll be count instead. So we'll count everyone that, so we'll count all that possible contains. And if, let's see, count is equal to 1, or I guess we'll have, if one of them is on it, so that way if the possible contains the target, we'll have 1, else we'll just have 0, so we'll get 1 more score for hitting straight on. So if the score is better than the best score, keep this one. And we'll keep the best score is equal to score. And we don't need to do anything except print the best target. So this should be fine. Yeah, so it's 1 extra for hitting straight on. Yeah, that should be fair enough. So now let's see if we have if has only one. So if you have only one source of damage, we'll track the damage with this one. And what's damage? Yeah. Alright. And we'll also do the same if he does trigger. So we don't need to track the torpedo because he can be anywhere when it triggers mine. But we need to track the damage, and the input is basically the same. And we already checked torpedo and trigger. So that's nice. And we kind of need to do this with our own commands. So, and this will happen afterwards, let me think. No, because our last command is what we did last round, which means it happens before he's moving. So you have to think about that. So we'll keep this. So if we use torpedo or trigger, so we're not going to trigger just yet. Then we have the same input scheme as the output scheme as we get from him, so that should be fine. Currently tracking most. I didn't do sonar yet, and the silence and all that is not silence and moving is not checking the path and all that, those kind of things, because that's a little more advanced because you need to keep the path or try to move back and forward in time. So I'll simply do the simple one, and it should be enough to get up to the next league. So now in the track damage. So if it was damaged, the possible cells will be updated to only be, let me see. Yeah, hopefully this should be able to break into soon. So instead of there will be 2 damage. So the possible cells, we'll check if the damage contains cell and get it. Else, that if it was damaged. So where is it not contains? Okay. Let's see if that helps anyhow. Okay, so we can't hit him at once. Oh, but now we suddenly have 0 possible locations. So now there's 1 source of damage. He wasn't damaged. So let's see what happened. Was damage, health, greater than 0. That should be okay. So now, what did he do? He moved and torpedoed. So first off, we removed all the places he could have shot with the torpedo, and then we're trying to remove the damage. So if he was damaged, we'll only keep the ones. Okay. Weird. So let's just check if this boss is deterministic, and then we can retry a few times. Yeah, seems deterministic enough. Or fully deterministic. So let's start debugging some stuff here. It's kind of hard to debug this game because you can't just print a game state unless you create some sort of downloader or something, because you need the whole flow of actions. So it's easier to just print unless you want to engineer it a little bit more. So what I'll start with is, instead I went around earlier, as I saw it was 8 before it was removed. And then I can so let's see with those 8. Let's see. So there's 0. So here's the possible. So it's not damaged. And 9.6 should be a part of it. Okay, 9.6 is not a part of it. That's great. What did we miss? Because he has already used silence? No, he didn't. What? Okay, I need to figure out why. No, he was at 9.7? No. What? I keep wondering why we go from 112. Oh, because I'm firing. And I'm removing from myself, so that might be the bug. Yeah, because now there's one source, so let's see if I... Oh yeah, because I'm tracking my own torpedo. Great. So what we need is... Yeah, this one source shouldn't be one source. It needs to be if it's less or equal to 1. Because we're checking if... Let's see... No, it should be... Oh, the source should be 1, yeah, of course. That's my bad. The damage I was thinking about. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so now we're winning. So now when I shoot, I know he's not in those. Now he shoots, I know all that stuff. Don't know where he is. I should print it 11.6, so that's this position. Yeah, and I'm following, tracking him, and killing him. Seems nice. Okay, that should be far better. Okay, so we're losing a whole lot of games. What are they doing? So the red guys. Yeah, It's never 0, right? No. Oh, we're crashing. What? Throw overflow exception. So why can't we? Okay, that's weird. We don't get the full stack trace. So there's a parse int. So yeah, I guess we because it's surfacing. That's the problem. Face. So in the tracker, we need surface. I think I missed this one. Yeah, there should be 1 instead. All right, let's see again. So, but it seems we should win this fairly easy. Yeah. So he'll get stuck, and we'll just continue and kill him fairly easy. Okay, good. That's nice. So that seemed to crush bronze. That's nice. Seems I don't need to silence at all. So we can watch a game with the boss, I guess. See what we are doing versus him. So we know 2 positions where he is. Yeah, we hit straight on when we know where he is. So that's nice. And we're not using the torpedo, but now it's a huge waste because now we could, I don't know, gain some silence or something. So we can try to implement that. Maybe we can do better in the next league, or better at all. Let's see. Indirect. Yeah, it's better to keep all the visited cells, of course. So if player 1 torpedo is greater than 0, we'll return this. Now we need to think about our because we did some ninja hack up here where we added torpedo cooldown. So we'll do tour. Oh yeah, because we need target. Let's just get this up here. Alright, so we'll simply remove it afterwards, or we need to remove it earlier. We need to add it again. So this guy knows he has cooldown. And if that's greater than 0, we'll return this, else we'll return silence. Alright. So it seems we're getting fairly good rank, 21, but I guess with silence would be far better. It's no silence, let's see. Yeah, what we can do is very simple. So we get string silence target. I'll just use it for north and 0. And I'll add a line in front. I won't check if I even could just, but I'll do like this. So now if I'll move, then I'll fire, and then I'll just silence if I can. So that should be fine, right? Let's see if that's better. So I'm first in the league, so that should be enough for silver, which is nice. So where's this guy? Do I do any? Let me see. I'm leveling my silence, and there I use silence. So I move east, and I silence. Yeah, I'm this guy. Yeah. So that seemed fine. And I'm scaling silence and using it very well. I could have used it earlier, of course, but so I'm kind of wasting one. But yeah, I'll check out ranks in silver. Can try against the boss to see if he beats me on this one, but I see if I beat him now. So yeah, I beat him pretty well. So yeah, because he uses silence, and from 5 and suddenly has or from 3 to 28 different possible locations. See if we win these guys we lost. So let's see if we do anything stupid. The most stupid thing we do is those kind of things. The move right here, or even yeah, the move right here should find that it loses this area, but it's kind of a longer search. At least you should find in this location that you should not block this path. You should rather go up and use it, or go down and use the rest and come back. Now we're also, I can try to add sonar and just see how far it goes. Alright, this is soon done. Damn, it's slow. Okay, I'll just add sonar while we're at it. So if P1 silence is greater than 0, then return comes sonar, which we didn't add yet. Okay, let's see sonar. So set private string. We can also use this one down here, I guess. Sonar target. So if P1 sonar cooldown, so I now need to find a sector to scan. So there's be 9 sectors. So that'll be, I don't know, -1. So we want a threshold, like if there's only one sector is in, yeah, there's no need. And if, so we can just check that up here. So if the P2 possible, that will group by the P dot sector. So if this dot count, which will be the groups of sectors, is let me see, if it's less than 2, we'll return an empty string. So that means 1. I guess we can also check the maximum. So for all of these, will find the sector with the most, because you want to sonar the sector with the most players or positions, or maybe even you want to take someone closer to you or further away, because you can always torpedo a sector near you, but you can't torpedo something far away. And if he's closer, you want to fight up front. So yeah, it's the decision making of how you want to do that, those choices. So if the max or min, I guess max. So p count. So that'll be the biggest group we'll find. If the biggest group has a value, say less than 5. I know each sector contains 5 by 5, 25 elements. So 5, if it's less than 5, you only learn 4 more, but then you use 4 powers to get that, and that's kind of waste. Oh, sweet, we're getting to silver. So you turn empty. And now, since we already have the link ready, we can return this, order by descending. Count, and we'll grab the first dot key, which is the sector ID, and that didn't work, so we'll have to add the sonar. Alright, so now we can sonar people, and we also need the splitter, the beautiful line. Alright, plus. Alright, let's see how silver goes. Guess we lose a whole lot of matches. Yeah, that's true. Which we should. So now we need to add the sonar target to this guy, and we need to get it from here, which we already get this one, and this. So now we know, because my actions is first, we know that it didn't move during my actions. So we'll have the sonar. So we'll add a tracking for sonar. And we'll have the result. This result will be y or m. So if result equals yay, like this, it means we found him. Oops. Else it means right. And while I remember it, I think I should add 3 here. So if there's less than 3 sectors, I won't bother. I'll only do it for. Alright. So now, kind of need a link again. So now we know he's in the sector. Yeah, my main account is a broken account. How high do I get? It's only moving to test my tracking as I'm working on it in the other one. So if it's yes, it means that the c.sector equals the sector. And if it's not, it means that it's unequal. Alright. So in my will track sonar, which is this split it 1, and we'll have to parse it. Let's see, like this. And we need the sonar result. Oh, this one? No. What? So I need to refactor this. Where's that? Alright, now let's see if we can do some sonars and we get a default. So let's see if we ever use sonar. We killed him too fast, that's boring. Yeah, we can test ourselves now. So this guy. Yeah, let's see. We never scale sonar. So it's only okay because we're all. So when you're playing against yourself, you see that. So I guess I need to change the seed of my random. So I'll just do it in the IO. As I shared on the chat some time ago. Plus equals to x plus y times width or something. I don't know. And we'll have the constant random equals new random seed. So this means we get two players that spawn different locations. Okay, it worked. So this is okay, I guess not. Okay, did we update? Oh, I ranked to a new league, I guess. Alright, let's see. This, yeah, should be fine. Because we're, how's the placement? It counts random. That's weird. So if I play versus myself, yeah, okay, so it's two different locations. So the spawning is not, I know we only spawn in this tile and we might spawn, I don't know, bad locations. So what we can do to just make it a little bit better, I guess. Nah, I don't. Yeah, because we can look at the, as now we have the torpedo targets, it'll be like open areas is good to spawn because then you can move around more freely. Of course, this bot doesn't care about it, it just moves around anyway, as it will only pick one direction after the other, and but with more space you can kind of trick your opponent more and you can escape easier. But now since I'm blocking off this path to escape this guy, if he was down here I would have to surface and silence up there. So let's see if I sonar, that was the question. So I never do it, but I will change the logic a little bit in my power order. I'm parsing them by hand. So if you look at how does this bot make 200? I don't know. I guess the tracking, because tracking can never go to an invalid state. Like my previous tracking in my own bot had, it suddenly it could go to 0 and had to restart. So that's an important part of it. Let's pick something else, you know. This guy. So that's kind of weird. Oh, because we're sonaring so much. What are they doing? Okay. Oh, because there's sonar. This. So now we're taking first sonar, then we'll always have sonar. It makes no sense. But yeah, let's just play versus them. So when we sonar, so what we do sonar, did it didn't work? I guess there wasn't too many in that tile. So we did, that's not me. The sonar on 5. Earlier we had 126. Next we had 100, so we removed I guess we removed 25 because of the easy pattern. We moved all of these, which was 25, I guess, and then some because of his movement. So that's nice. Then we don't care about mine, so... And now it's 0. Oh, damn. Why is it 0? So we can be on 13.3. Let's see. So 13.3. Okay, I guess that's that one. Why? What's he doing this round? Using silence? He moves south and uses the mine. Mine shouldn't bother us. Why can't he move south? Let's check if this guy... We didn't use sonar, did we? No. Of course we lose when we go down to 0. So he's deterministic at least. That's nice. So at least we're scaling up, but okay, I guess I need to figure out why. Who is removing it? Let's see. So I guess we can try to set as input. Oops, not the one. So we'll have this one as our first input. What's our last command in this one? So the message shouldn't be a problem. No, this is the one. Alright. What's my tracking saying earlier? 13.3. And... Oh, I'm torpedoing too? No, I'm not. Ah, okay, yeah, the bug is that I assumed I torpedoed, but I don't, and it's not crashing. Yeah, I guess that's on me for not crashing the players if they do invalid commands. So this guy might do this, but I'll put it back to torpedo, so that I'm confident with. So it will always charge torpedo first if it needs to. Yeah, it should be better. So I don't need. Right. Okay, so you won this guy. Interesting. Yeah, because I was lucky to hit him. There's one more thing I didn't do yet, but when you know there's only one source of damage, you can narrow it down if it's the center or the ones around. So let's see where this goes. And I guess that's strong enough for the stream. Maybe too strong. Oh well. How do I win this guy? Where are you on the list? What's your nick? Oh, maybe I lost you. To the right. This one? Oh, on this list you mean? Yeah, let's pick a random replay and see where we lost. So it's lucky torpedo, so narrow it down very fast, but I guess he also knows where I am right now. You know, we can look at this particular move, I think. Yeah. So if you're gonna go higher, you have to think about when you use silence. So in this particular case, like, because it multiplies by how much open space you have around yourself, and here I only have one way. So you kind of need to think about that when you use silence. I guess I could check it in my code before I accept the silence, that you have at least 2 open directions or something. And here was some other thing. So in this case, this one, why is this over? So here I'm moving west and then torpedo, but I'm moving away from him so that I can't hit him properly. 1, 2, 3, 4, so I can't hit him straight on. And then I shoot. I should have shot first instead. That's something you need to check too. Like, what order of actions do you really want to do? Yeah. So it's top 200 at least. I don't know, maybe 150 or something. Seems good enough. Anything else you guys wonder about? Uh, at least remember a few of the previous moves, so that you can create a short-term path for him. Because when he silence, you know at least he has to do 5 or 6 steps before he can do new silence. List of list. You mean if you want to create all the paths and such? I guess you can store each path specifically, but if the opponent uses a whole lot of silence, that's gonna narrow down. That's gonna be way too many, way too fast. That's gonna be a problem. So this guy's doing an arrow right here. Or it's me? Oh, it's no, it's him. Yeah, he should move away before he torpedoes me to give more damage. But I guess he checked that he won, so it doesn't matter. One of the issues I would fix about this is not to fill the map so poorly. Like here, it should go down, and you should check that, calculate a few moves ahead and see that you can move closer to your own path or other obstacles. And now with an opponent tracker like this, you can swap the order of things. But of course, you need to remember to put your this tracking of yourself at the end. It's okay. Okay. So timeout. Why? You didn't fix the message thing? Yeah, you should fix that. It's a huge source of losing games. Here you can spawn at the bottom instead of wasting that space forever. So this guy's a little trigger happy. Let's see if we can make him a little bit better by not shooting when there's too many options. Let's see if it is better at least. So that's not that one, it's this guy. So if the say if the possible count is greater than like 10, and however many we damage, will be this one, is less than, I don't know, 5, 4, 6, continue. Yeah, don't shoot wildly if you only can damage one cell, as you also give away your information. Right, and if it's less than, you can start, because you'll remove a lot of... Okay, let's see. So, still torpedoing like hell. So, but we're getting some silence. Did we shoot there? Oh, he hit us. Damn it. So, and also see if when it's greater than 100, you should just wait anyway, because then you're just full random. Say, I don't know, 50, 75, I don't know, good number, random number, scientifically proven. So that's seem better. We get a full timeline of actions because we're skilling other stuff. Now we even use sonar to reduce the, yeah, because we found him, so suddenly we have 20 actions, then we can start firing. That should be far better, right? And we use a whole lot of silence. Yeah, it seems better. I'll just try it. See, and I'll round off in about 5 minutes. Maybe that's far worse. See if I lose this one. How did I know already where I was? Damn. I think he's very lucky on that shot. Oh, I'm lucky. Oh. Yeah, but I don't reduce it to... I should reduce it to 1 in these situations. So, and I see in this situation I should actually try to fire at something. I do. Yeah, because I die. Well, you can still add that final little thing. So if you track damage, and we can also check if the damage is 1. So if you get the total damage, we'll have this health thing. That'll be the damage. I guess damage is a better name. So down here, I want to just get that replay before I forget it. Let's see if this guy is deterministic too. Yeah, it's nice. So if damage equals to 1, we'll do something else, we'll do this. And we'll not say and C is unequal to cell because we will be reusing the cell objects. Like this. And so if it's 1, this is if it's 2, and it's equal to the cell itself. I don't think I need to check if it contains. Yeah, I guess I could have removed everything and added this this one cell because it's a direct hit. But I'll just check it. And if it's 1, it has to be damaged, and it has not to be not a cell, so you can remove that one thing, which is nice. So we'll try again and see if I get down to 1, hopefully. Yeah, I get 1 target, and then use silence and... No, what? How does he go up to 11? That's weird. Oh, because he used silence. Ah, okay. Makes sense. So that should be a little better, but I'll add in a little bit more firing in. This looked... I guess it's better to be trigger happy. Maybe. I guess I can just make it a little less. Everyone loves silence here. So if I fire too much, I will never get a silence. So now I can win. That's nice. Sweet. Okay, let's try it. See if it's just even a tiny bit better. So it is, he's silencing, but his skilling his sonar very slow. These are the cases where you can track yourself and don't do silence if there is too many options. Because I don't need silence right now, because I will soon reveal myself anyway. And that's another case I can. There's no point in silencing this case. So I could rather save it till I'm down here and have I guess this is an okay place, but 3 directions is much better. Yeah. Alright, unless there's any other questions, I'll round off for now. Just ask me questions on Discord or whatever. I'll be around. Thank you for watching.